while attending a premiere for the film Great Balls of Fire, Johnny Depp went into the theatre lobby and locked eyes with 17-year-old actress Winona Ryder. It was love at first sight. And yes, yet again, before long, the couple were engaged. In fact, around this time, not surprisingly, a bumper sticker became very popular. Hung if you've been engaged to Johnny Depp.
Coincidentally, in 1990, Tim Burton cast both Winona and Johnny in his wonderfully original and offbeat film, Edward Scissorhands. Depp proved his skill in bringing Tim Burton's imagination to the screen.
Scissorhands, which is, I've been lucky in the sense that I've read things and not liked them so much, and then read something and fallen in love with it, and then I'm lucky enough to work with those directors who I liked very much. I mean, I've worked with all these guys who are like, you know, and these are some of my favorite directors.
Feeling lucky, Johnny also felt free to reject films that did not interest him. He declined offers for action pictures like Speed and Hollywood epics like Legends of the Fall, instead choosing more personal and quirky stories like Arizona Dream and Benny and June.
Winona Ryder had been deeply touched when, shortly after they got engaged, he had a tattoo reading Winona Forever tattooed onto his arm. Well, around the time of his 30th birthday in 1993, they split up, and the tattoo was simply transformed a little. He had the last two letters, N-A, removed, so it read, Why Known Forever? The new wording was quite appropriate, actually, seeing as though the actor had just bought a vintage nightclub on the Sunset Strip, which used to belong to the legendary mobster Bugsy Siegel. Johnny renamed it the Viper Room. Johnny was thrilled to have a place where his friends could come and hang out and really have fun, but times weren't always good at the Viper Room. On Halloween night, 1993, tragedy struck when the talented River Phoenix reportedly snorted an exotic form of heroin in the Viper's men's room, went out onto the sidewalk and died of a cardiac arrest. The press descended, the sad story was inflamed and exaggerated, and though he had nothing to do with the incident, Johnny Depp secured his reign as Hollywood bad boy.
When you're starting out in this business and you're kind of coming up the ranks, they need to know what to call the product, and they weren't quite sure what to label me as, and they figured, oh, this is what he looks like, and this is, you know, so therefore this is what he's going to be. He's going to be a bad boy, or he's going to be a rebel, or all those really tricked out, used up words. So they stamped me with that label for years and years, and it doesn't make any sense to me, it never did. I never went out and cultivated any image.
In 1993, Johnny starred in the small but heartfelt and well-received movie What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Still mourning his friend's death and struggling without his Winona by his side, Johnny found refuge in the strange but very close ensemble of the Gilbert Grape cast.
The structure of a movie shoot can provide the stability of a family, particularly if the shoot takes place in a remote location, and there's a bonding that occurs between the cast and crew that can replicate the security of a family, where each member can feel safe and can actually recover from certain trauma.
Altogether, it was 7 months of shooting. I mean, we really became close, and everybody became really close. Like, so I mean, to have it actually coming out, it's weird. It almost feels too personal now for it to come out, you know, because everybody, the crew, cast, the director, everybody lived that movie in a real deep way. You know. 7 months in Douglas, Arizona, 3 blocks from Mexico, you know.
In contrast to his own reality, Johnny plays the steadiest, most responsible and stable character in the film.
It's kind of a very strange family. It's just a sort of dysfunctional family on a lot of levels. I like it because there's a lot of possibilities for Gilbert when he just starts to kind of open up, kind of break open towards the end. So, you know, I like this sort of emotionless, or unable to allow himself to feel, and then at the end he just can't hold it back, can't help it. I like that.
True to form, Johnny's love life started to look up again. One sultry evening in 1994, he was in a crowded New York restaurant when he set eyes on the young waif-like supermodel Kate Moss. It was love at first sight. The two were mad about each other.
In 1994, Johnny was cast for a second time by Tim Burton in his new comedic and off-the-wall film, Ed Wood, a mostly factual depiction of possibly the world's worst director. Perhaps inspired by the movie's depiction of screen legend Bela Lugosi, Johnny abandoned his years of living in hotel rooms and rented houses and purchased a home in the Hollywood Hills that had belonged to the horror movie icon. 1997 brought some very grown-up roles that reveal an evolving and maturing actor. In mob thriller Donnie Brasco, Depp plays another real-life character, but this time he was playing with the big boys.
Oh, it's very intense. The idea of going to work with Al Pacino is, Jesus, it's like another dream come true. I've been very lucky.
Of course, Johnny couldn't stay serious without a break. So in 1998, director Terry Gilliam offered him a starring role in the wildly hallucinogenic role of author Hunter S. Thompson in Fear, Loathing in Las Vegas.
Johnny was grateful, clearly, for the fantastic roles he was getting, but the relentless work schedule was really wearing on his relationship with Kate. The couple had spent 4 passionate and rocky years together, but their careers and the long separations they had to endure finally took their toll, and the relationship ended. At 35, Johnny had stated that he was ready to start a family, but he found himself alone again. Of course, the gorgeous actor didn't have to wait too long. It was only about a month later that he was in a Paris bar and he locked eyes with the stunningly beautiful actress and singer Vanessa Paradis. They had a lot in common apart from passion. They enjoyed the same kind of music. And then Johnny got his wish. In 1998 September, just 3 months after they'd met, Vanessa announced that she was pregnant, when on May the 27th, Lily Rose Melody Depp was born. He was overjoyed and found that fatherhood, of course, was yet another learning experience.
Being a dad came very, very naturally. I mean, becoming a parent has given me everything. It's given me strength. It's given me perspective. It's given me joy, pure joy. Yeah, it's an eye-opener.
More productive than ever, Johnny starred in 3 more movies by the year 2000. In Chocolat, he played a traveling gypsy for whom he felt a profound kinship.
Yeah, kind of the opportunity to play something that's, I guess, a consistent theme for me, sort of an outsider, but an outsider who maybe chose to be outside.
The movie was a magical romp into the psyche of desire and restraint. Johnny lives by the philosophy behind the story.
If you choose to live a closed life, then your life experiences will be pretty minimal and pretty gray and boring. If you allow new things to come in, if you need to experience new things, then you'll be able to take something away with you. I mean, I think especially, here in this country, I think that America, are so closed off to new things, are so set into certain routines that it becomes dangerous, It really it's a very dangerous way to live, I think.
Refusing to fall into that dangerous trap, Johnny decided to move into a $2 million villa in the south of France with Vanessa and his little daughter. Up next, Johnny becomes a father again and prepares for his biggest role yet.
I think that the very idea of children, that I would have children one day, was influencing me.
Another big responsibility for Johnny was a new arrival in the Depp household. Son John Christopher Depp III was born April 10, 2002.
in a very, very odd way. I think that even before my children were born, I think that the very idea of children, that I would have children one day, was influencing me for a long time now. I think I started making decisions on films, what to do and what not to do based on, what I was going to leave behind when I turned into smoke. You know what I mean? I didn't want to, embarrass them, when they have to sit around at the age of 60 and say, yeah, my dad did that movie,
With that in mind, Johnny reached back into his own boyhood fantasies when he chose to play Jack Sparrow in Disney's theme park ride-inspired The Pirates of the Caribbean.
Before I started doing any of the research, there was the kind of the residue from childhood, the leftover idea of that, that romantic image, out on the ocean, wind in the hair, adventure, treasure, women, that sort of thing.
Johnny delved into his imagination to conjure up the unusual characterization of Jack Sparrow.
Well, I started thinking about pirates in the 18th century, and how they were kind of the rock and roll stars of that era. And I thought, who's the greatest rock and roll star of all time, the coolest? And for me, it was Keith Richards, hands down. So I kind of took that inspiration of Keith, and it wasn't like a character study or an imitation or anything like that, but just a more like, a memory of how he is, the way he behaves. There's a grace, an elegance, wit and wisdom that he has that I admire.
The ultimate benefit was at the box office. At nearly $47 million, the success of the movie stunned everyone, especially its star.
The amount of people that went to see Pirates was, nobody was more surprised than me, because I made, several films, that I always thought, I thought all of them, even the ones that are considered the most sort of bizarre or weird, I always thought they were, why shouldn't they be commercial films, But Pirates was like another level. Something happened. Because one day, after Pirates was released, one day you'd meet like a 5-year-old kid in the street, who recognized you, and then, you'd easily, a couple hours later, meet, an older woman or an older man who'd recognized Captain Jack. So it was a very strange experience, but a very pleasant one, It was nice.
So nice, in fact, that Johnny thought he'd buy a little souvenir to help him reminisce about the shoot. The movie star bought a small Caribbean island for $3 million. It is a fitting gift to himself, in fact, because the opening of the hit movie coincided with the actor's 40th birthday.
I remember when I turned 30, like the first thing you think about when you turn 30 is 40. You skip 10 years right away. And it's not that you worry, but you kind of, it's like, oh my God, I'll be 40, I'll be 40, I'll be 40. So by the time you reach 40, it's really welcome. It's a great place to be.
Johnny was nominated for an Academy Award for his beloved depiction of Captain Jack, and he was nominated again the next year for his starring role in the period piece Finding Neverland. Even though the nominations catapulted the one-time Hollywood bad boy into a very serious category of actors, Johnny himself never took awards too seriously.
The idea of an awards ceremony is a strange thing. I suppose they're not very important. Again, if I've done my job, people will see it and relate to it. If Joe likes what I've done, then I feel I've done my job, but I don't need to win a piece of metal that I can put on my fireplace to feel justified or validated.
The only validation Johnny ever needs is another wacky role to play. It wasn't long before Tim Burton came knocking. Johnny was cast as Willy Wonka in Burton's wacky interpretation of the much-loved Roald Dahl classic, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I've been very, very lucky in that sense because Tim has come to me with 5 now with Corpse Bride. Amazing characters, amazing projects.
He's a great character actor. He's like, Lon Chaney or Boris Karloff, always likes to become something different. So that was a nice pleasure for me to kind of have him involved with that.
The offbeat director was counting on Johnny to delve into his wild imagination to create the perfect characterization of the chocolate factory owner, Willy Wonka.
There's no one specific that was the inspiration for Wonka, but it's kind of like a combination, you know, of various thoughts and ideas. Even some people, I guess, you know, like early memories that I have of children's show hosts, you know, when I was a kid watching television, and even then thinking, you know, why does he talk that way? It's really weird, you know. So that became kind of a main ingredient for Wonka. Yeah, so there's no one specific. I guess the hairdo, I guess the thing that I had in mind was like the idea of a guy who'd spent way too much time alone and away from current events and people, and so therefore his style would be very, very dated. That's where the hair came from.
Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was a resounding success, and with hardly a break, Johnny was back in the Bahamas to shoot 2 sequels to Pirates of the Caribbean back-to-back.
Well, it's big. It's a long process, but I mean, to be honest, it's such a pleasure for me, because I remember finishing Pirates 1 and thinking, you know, will I see Captain Jack Sparrow again? Will I be able to play him again? And I had a feeling I would. But coming back on for Pirates 2 and 3, especially this long a ride, it's really, selfishly, it's just great fun for me. I'm just having a ball being him again.
Johnny never forgets what got and keeps him where he is today.
I think as an actor, I mean, as you know, we all have responsibility to the people that keep us working. And the people that keep us working is the audience, you know, the people that go see the film. You know, they pay their hard-earned dollars or, you know, hard-earned money to go see the movie, and that's what keeps me working. So my responsibility is to them. And first and foremost, you know, you hope to entertain, you know, and do something that might stimulate them or give them thoughts or make them smile or make them laugh. But, you know, also great responsibility is to not bore them, you know, just, yeah, not bore them to tears.
Well, of course, there's no chance of that with Johnny Depp on screen.